Owens, and I am here with another edition of So What Success Stories. And today I have the pleasure and the privilege to be talking to my friends, Pastor Terrell Monger. Now, Terrell has one of those people who has a whole lot of titles, and I'm going to give a few of them, and you'll probably discover a few more throughout this interview, throughout our time together. So Terrell is the pastor of One Accord Ministries. He is an author. He is a playwright, and he also has a full-time job right now. He is a project manager at International Paper. So that's just a little bit about Terrell, but he is a multifaceted creative who has a whole lot to say and a whole lot to share. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Terrell.
Yeah, I think you described it perfectly. I just consider myself a nerd. I'm just a student of life. And I look for things to inspire me. I look for things to get me going. And that's what kind of led me down a lot of those roads. And I'm also, as you stated, pastor of a church that takes up, a lot of my time because I love people. I am a father of 5 children. One of them, the youngest, is 3. The oldest is 23. So yeah, I have generations in my loins. And I'm also married. My wife, she is a personal trainer, and some of the things that I do inspired her to do more in what she does. So not only am I orchestrating my own dreams and passions, I help her orchestrate her dreams and passions as well. But I believe that the reason I was put on this earth was to wake up the dreams and passions inside of other people. Somehow the light coming on in other people's eyes made my light shine a little more. I get excited to see people pursuing what it is that they want to do. So when I see someone with a dream in their heart, it wakes up the best in me as well. So to sum it all up, I'm this nerd that's excited about life, excited about learning about people, and excited about learning what else can be done. And by the way, I just turned 50. I'm proud of that.
Happy belated birthday, fellow Gemini.
Fellow Gemini. And I got all of them jokers living up in here. All of them. They take turns speaking. So I used to think when you turn 50, that your teeth would be falling out, you wouldn't have any more hair left, but I would be excited to tell people at 50, you get a new gift. And that new gift is you don't care what people think. So I am happy to step into that place. But other than that, as she stated, I'm just an all-around nerd.
So you 50. I remember I kind of felt like that at 30. I'm like, well, now I actually felt like my age matched where I was in life and how I felt, and I guess my maturity level. So I'm amazed at what I'm already thinking about what I'm feel like at 50, which is not that far away. But okay, so Terrell, we met. Well, look, you probably remember the year.
It was 2011.
I knew it was early. I knew it was soon after I wrote my first book. And so we met then when Terrell, you had someone on your staff to reach out to me to speak at your conference, your relationship conference. I guess that was your first relationship conference.
That was my very first, because I had just written the book myself. And when I saw your title, it just took my attention. But yeah, I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead. You're doing a great job.
No, that's okay. I was asking the question because we'll get into all the good questions here in a second. But I really want to kind of lay the foundation about who you are and what our connection is. Because in this program, I really like to talk to people I know and get to know them better and really kind of share our connection. And so, yeah, that was in 2011. You reached out to me because you had written a book about relationships and you brought me in to speak to the youth. And I really was excited about that because that was one of my first speaking engagements. I don't know if you even knew that. But it really started, I guess, launch pad for my career as a speaker and what I've been doing. And so talk a little bit before we even get into the questions about those things that you are passionate about. And so I mentioned the conference, a relationship conference, and that's a part of the bigger picture of those things that you're really passionate about. Talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm mostly passionate about new information and new experiences. That does it for me. And that's one of the reasons that I'm always doing so many different things. Even though I have a routine, if if you want to know what I'm doing in the morning, you're going to find me. I'm getting up about 5 in the morning. I'm drinking my coffee. I'm meditating. I'm praying. I'm exercising. And that is the time I just go over my imagination of what's possible. That's the biggest part of a routine that I have. After that, I need new experiences. I have to do something new. I feel like God is a creator and he made us in his image. So I feel closer to God when I'm creating. And you see a lot of the things that I do, you can't even begin to imagine the things that I do that people never see.
All the things that are in your head that are coming. So talk a little bit about those things that you've created. So we talked about the relationship conference. I want you to talk about the books that you created. Talk about the plays and the conferences.
Yeah, I'll have to go back a little bit because I was a nerd in school, you know, and my world opened up when I started creating. I went from a nerd to being a rapper. So, you know, and so
hey, tell that story.
Oh,
I think that's a good story. I want you to tell that story.
Oh man, I'm invisible, man. And all my brothers are cool. My sister is the prettiest girl in the school. She won most beautiful in junior high and most beautiful in high school. So, but I'm just the invisible person in my home, in my school, in my community. I'm pretty much invisible. You could readily find me reading a book or reading the newspaper, reading the magazine. That's who I was. But my uncle, who was also pretty cool, he was a high school football star that went off and joined the military, came back and became a coach of the junior high school I was going to. But he was also a DJ. And so he used to let me walk around with him. I was 12 and I would carry his crates of music and things like that. And I messed around and heard Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh, la-di-da-di, la-di-da-di. Hey, but it did something to me. And I didn't show it externally, but I mean, this is cool. Looking at these dudes telling a story about what they did. And so when my uncle wasn't at home, I would listen to his records and all of that. And somehow he knew. And so one day he was the track coach at the school. And I'm sitting on the front of the bus like the nerd I was. I mean, my best friend was the bus driver. Hey, Mr. Bus Driver. Hey, how you doing? How was your weekend? It was good. So I'm the nerd that's cool with the bus driver. And so here I am talking to the bus driver like I always did at all the track meets. I wasn't with the cool crew. And my uncle is in the back of the bus with all the cool kids. They trying to do stuff. And he said, somebody said, have y'all heard that new song, Lottie Dottie? And my uncle said, my nephew can rap. Come do that song. And I was like, And I went to the back of the bus and I started doing Lottie Dottie. And everybody started raising their hands and clapping. I was like, wait a minute, I like this. And so I get back to school the next day because track meets were on a Friday. I get back to school the next day and my name is buzzing through the whole school. We heard you can rap. So here y'all put me on the spot. And that's when my nerd skills kicked in because I didn't need to write anything down. I could freestyle off the top of my head, you know? So I'm talking about people's shoes and talking about what's in the school and instantly became a neighborhood superstar. And so that's when I fell in love with creativity. And for one point, I thought I was going to be a rapper. I thought that was it. I'm supposed to be a rapper. People like me because I rap. But as I started journeying through life, it didn't open up the door that I wanted it to open. So I had to do other things. But that opportunity to create made me creative in other areas of my life. And as you stated, it turned into me writing songs for people. It turned into me, I wrote my first book at the age of 30 called The Art of Strategic Conversation. And that book was about how every environment has a language. Every environment has a culture. And if you want your words to go across, you need to learn the language of that culture. You need to learn the habits of that culture so you cannot offend anybody. And I wrote it for the church community, because everybody was so caught up in old school church. And I'm like, you updated your house, you've updated your car, you've updated your clothes. Some of y'all don't even update y'all marriages, but you don't want to update the church. The sound system whack. Y'all sing the same songs every. Can't y'all tell this is a boring routine and you trying to reach a technology generation with a hymn book mindset?
Well, and that's what you have at your church, right? So you definitely have incorporated that into the experience that people who attend your church have. And so that's cool. And so you then since have written other books, right?
Right. And the second book I wrote is actually the book that led me to When I Met You. The name of the book is Something She Can Feel. It's about the emotional needs of women and how men use those emotional needs to manipulate them. And so it started because I had got a side job as a radio DJ on AM 990. And one of the shows that I brought up on the, I wasn't a DJ like playing music, it was a talk show. So one of the topics I brought up was, why do good girls like bad boys? And the answers they gave were baffling. Talking about you feel more safe. And I was like, that's crap. How you gonna feel safe with a person that's undependable and all of that? And then it hit me. All of these women are talking about what they feel and not about what they actually have. And it hit me at that moment that it was about the emotional journey. That's why women like soap operas. That's why they like Oprah.
Except this woman, I don't. But yeah, I get it.
Yeah, some women. Like that's why a lot of women like soap opera. And we even see it now with the housewives of Potomac and basketball wives, just all of the drama. So they need to feel like they're going on a journey. And the bad boy gives them that journey. Even if it's a lie, they give them that journey and they call and they don't answer the phone and they're wondering what's next. But the good guy, who you always know where he is, he always responds the way you want him to respond. He gives you one emotion, happiness. And that's not enough. They want to be up, they want to be down. Just like Alicia Keys' song says, sometimes I feel good, at times I feel used. Loving you, darling, keep me so confused because of the emotional journey. So I wrote that book and it was a hit. I think in like the first 2 months, I sold like 5,000 copies. And I was like, it's the people that agree with me. And women started telling me, how do you know this? And I didn't think about it, to be honest. At the time, I didn't think about why I knew this, but I knew it because my dad was a pimp. My dad was a pimp, and he used to talk about women and what they thought about. And even when he was in prison, he used to read to me, call me and read the book Iceberg Slim to me. So I didn't get Dr. Seuss. I didn't get The Cat in the Hat. I got Iceberg Slim read.
So that's good. So before we go there, because I'm now like really, really, really excited to get into the meat of this, the questions about it. But so we met and you had the relationship, you wrote that book, which was a hit. You had that relationship conference. Fast forward, you've written some more books and produced some amazing plays, which I have had an opportunity to attend and take some people with me too who were blown away as well. You have another one coming up, as well as a relationship conference coming up. I think it's awesome. I think it's amazing the things that you have done, and that I can't even imagine all the things that are to come for you. And people just have to follow you and check you out, and they can learn more about all the books, all the plays, and all the stuff. Now I want to get into the questions, because when you even talking about your father and some of the conversations that you've had an amazingly interesting upbringing and background that has shaped you and made you who you are. And I mean, and that's true of all of us. Our backgrounds shape us and make us who we are. But when I do this program, and the reason why I do the work that I do is about helping people to understand you can make you a better person, or it can make you a bitter person. It can make you stagnant, or it can help you take off. It can help you soar and help other people soar. And definitely you have used all the things to make you a better person, an exciting person. I always talk about your energy, and we always talk about energy and how you give me energy. I'm just like, oh my God, okay, I guess I need to go finish a book next week too. Uh, but it's amazing. Contagious. It really, really is. So let's get into the questions to see how you became this amazing Terrell Monger. So in this program, I have what I call the So What Success System. And that is helping people to understand that if you can learn how to overcome obstacles, eliminate excuses, and calculate choices, you can achieve so what success. And that is success in spite of any obstacles that you face. And Terrell, yeah, you are a so what man. And you have done all those things to achieve so what success because you are super successful in a lot of ways. So first, I want to ask you talk about some of the obstacles that you've had to overcome and just how you did it.
Yeah, I'll start first because I'm with you. It's in our childhood that who we are is starting to form. All of us have a paradigm, and I don't want to make that sound deep, but a paradigm is a set of thoughts, ideas, concepts, and beliefs from which you make all your decisions. All your decisions come from that place. And I don't care what you do, you get money or whatever, if your paradigm doesn't shift, your situation doesn't change. So I'll say that. And my paradigm, as you stated, was pretty difficult. My dad went to prison when I was 2 years old. Okay. So even though I wasn't affected by him being in prison, I was affected by the results of him being in prison. Okay. But I didn't know it until way later on. My mom was definitely in love with this man, like in love, love, love with this man. So by the time I got about 5 or 6, I just had memories of, and I'm an extreme person. So if I get extremely emotional, work with me. I mean,
This is a safe place.
Yeah, I have to dig into my box to go get this stuff. It drives me, but my memory is so great. I remember like it was yesterday. So at that age, 5, 6, 7, at that age, all I remember is my mom crying. That's it. And she turned into an alcoholic, and so there were days when, she would be not come home for 2 or 3 days. And I would basically at 7, 8 years old, I'm having to get myself up and go to school by myself. And, and so, but that was my norm. But my days were filled with worrying about my mom. I see other people, mom coming up to the school, bringing them sandwiches and dropping them off at school. And I felt like that's what my mom wanted, not what I wanted. I felt like, I bet she wished she could do this. Okay. And so many times in the nights, she would come home crying, drunk, crying. And I remember, always telling her, it's not going to always be like this. And I didn't know where it came from, but I remember my older sister, she's a step older than me. I have one older than her, but she's a step older than me. We're close. We're like 1.5 years, 2 years apart. She loved me, but the gift she gave to me was when mom didn't come home and when we didn't have anything to eat and when we were sad, she would open up the Sears catalog. And she would open up the Sears catalog wish book and we'll just point at it and we'll say, that's the type of house we're going to have one day. That's the type of clothes we're going to have one day. That's how we're going to be living one day. So my default when times got hard was to dream and imagine. So I was just sharing my imagination with my mom. It's not going to always be like this. It's not going to always be like this. And I saw her go through men that were no good. One of them tried to molest my other sister. The relationship would always end in a fight. And I don't know why, but all the fights happened in the middle of the night. It's great. It was nothing for me to wake up in the middle of the night to a fight and cussing and throwing so much to the point that it didn't even bother me anymore. I would just go back to sleep. But this one particular time, not only did my mom, she was going through a bad relationship, and my oldest sister, she was going through a bad situation because she got pregnant at 13, and the little boy said it wasn't his, and that was her first time having sex. She got pregnant and she got a disease. And I'm not saying anything behind her back because she tells the story. So, you know, that's her so what. And so, and then my other sister, she liked bad boys too. It's just good girls like bad boys. And I remember looking at them. And my only goal in life at that point, I just wanted to be the type of dude I wish my sisters had. That's it. And I think that's what made me different than the other guys around me.
And I think that's powerful, though. Let me just say, I think that's powerful because you didn't have your dad around as an example, and you saw your sisters and what they were going through, and your mom too, what they were going through, but you decided to be what they needed or what that you wanted them to have, rather than seeing what they were drawn to. Because even then you were seeing that they weren't drawn to, they weren't the ones that were chasing the kind of guy that you were striving to be. So I think that's cool. I think it's interesting, and part is really special, is why you are doing what you're doing. So go ahead. I had to point that out though.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Now, there was a good and a bad to that because it shaped my paradigm. And it made me grow up thinking about everybody else but me. You know, I knew what I had been through. So whatever life threw my way, I felt like I can take it, but other people can't. So I became everybody's savior. So whatever situation, I wanted to make sure everybody else was all right. I'm last. Now, that sounds good, but to young women who have not matured, it makes me a cake boy. You know, it makes me a sucker because they think they're running game on me, but I'm just being who I am. So it makes them think they have some type of upper hand when you're not tricking me. This is who I want to be. This is what I want to do. And because of that, I found myself picking the wrong type of women. I found myself picking women that could benefit from me for whatever reason. Or I always ended up in the friend zone, right? You know, the good guys, we always end up in the friend zone. We're here to listen to you. We're here to encourage you. We're here to say what you need to hear so you can run back out there and get you a bad boy.
Relationships are so interesting. So yeah, I can't wait till your next play. Which we can talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, I think go ahead.
Yeah. So that shaped how I thought. And so I never felt like I was okay with being a nerd. I was okay with girls not liking me because if I was gonna get with a girl, that put stress on me. I had to hear her thoughts. I had to hear her heart. I had to know her expectations so I can see if I was able to live up to those expectations. That's too much for a young 11, 12-year-old boy to be thinking about.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So I'm sitting up there and they're wanting money and all this. Well, I ain't got money. So we can't be together. They was like, oh, can you walk me home? No, you like money. I ain't got it. No, I will not walk you home. You know? So it made me always pick the type of woman that other guys didn't want. You know, oh, all you need is a friend? I can be that. You don't need to impress anybody. All you need is a friend. Hey, I'm here. So it kind of lowered my expectation. If I felt like you were high maintenance or if you were the popular girl in school, I knew I didn't have the clothes. I knew I didn't get my hair cut every week. So I wasn't going to do you like that and have you be embarrassed to be with somebody that wasn't up to par. So I'm not going to even shoot my shot. And, you know, even as I got older, with my friends, I was the conversation starter. Like if dudes wanted to meet a woman, they'll be, hey, Terrell, go talk to so-and-so. And, you know, I'll be the dude that'll come up to the table and sit down and be like, wait a minute, this is not my table. What do y'all do? You know? And I'll get the conversation started.
Nothing has changed since high school, huh?
You know? And so, but then I was using my gift of being able to talk to people for them, for my friends, because they were scared to talk to girls or whatever. So it was always about making everybody else around me happy because whatever situation I was in was okay. That's not healthy. And so that's what made me make a lot of decisions that I had to find my so what, you know, to live past.
Yeah, and you know, you talked about a number of obstacles in there. So that was a lot about relationship, which is cool because I don't know, you don't brand yourself as a relationship expert, but that's probably coming next. That's probably coming next because you talk about relationships a lot in a lot of, so some of the platforms we already talked about, but your show and other places where you talk about relationships and your awareness of your own evolution of knowledge and understanding about relationships, I think is worthwhile. So a relationship conference that you're planning for October, right?
Yeah. October 23rd.
And yeah, just so this in 2021. So whenever you watch this video, it may or may have already passed. But I think it's gonna be powerful. I know it'll be powerful. But you also talked about a number of other obstacles. You talked about your dad, and you talked about your mom, and I think a lot of people can relate to both, right? The dad being in prison or just being absent. And then the mom dealing with her own emotions and her own feelings in not the most positive way. Talk about how you dealt with that and how you overcame that. So I know about the relationship and learning about taking care of people, but in addition to that, what were some of the ways that you overcame those obstacles?
Yeah, no, man, Summer, that's a great question and how you asked it, because I didn't think about that as relate to women, but just think about the definition of relationship. The definition of a relationship is the way two concepts, objects, organization, or people regard and behave towards one another. That's what a relationship is. So we have a tendency to treat things how we see them. How you regard a thing is how you treat a thing. So because of my situation, I knew I was disadvantaged, okay? So my mom became such a heavy drinker that she had a nervous breakdown and had to go into a mental institution. And so when she went into the mental institution, my dad was already in jail, so we were basically homeless. And me and my sister, we had to live from house to house, some to family members, some to friends. We never got turned over to the system, but we never had a steady place to live. Now, we had each other. That's why we're so tight to this day. We had each other. And in that, what I learned was personalities. I learned how to meet needs, because every house we had to live in, all I wanted to do was figure out how to add value. How do I not be the child that's not wanted? So whatever house I lived in, if their kids didn't clean up, I cleaned up. If their kids didn't cut the grass, I cut the grass. When the parents cooked, I let them know how good their food was. And so I learned how to make myself valuable. That's what so that's probably another so what for me, because I already had in my mind, I'm not wanted, because my mom was in a mental institution, my dad was in jail, nobody wanted to keep us. So I already felt like I wasn't wanted, but I felt like I can make you want me. So sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, right. But it really boosted my self-esteem, because I never felt like I was counted out in any situation. I always felt like if I was at a job, if the boss didn't like me, if I was in a situation that people didn't like me, I just had the confidence, if you talk to me, If you spend some time with me, give me just a few minutes and you're going to love me. So where it was an insecurity, it also ended up being a strength because 9 times out of 10, I was going to be right. I was going to, you may have been smarter than me, you may be more attractive than me, you may be a better dresser than me, but you weren't going to outwork me. You weren't going to be more kind than I am. You weren't going to pick the right words, because I've been in enough situations. I know how to pick the right words. I know how to pay attention to people and what they say. And I say it all the time. My dad was a pimp, so he said a whole lot of stuff to me. And I remember I used to joke with women at the club. They'll come talk to me. They'd be like, "You're such a smooth talker." And I'd be like, "It's lucky for you, I use my powers for good."
You just don't know.
You know? And so it became a strength that, thank God, my heart was in the right place, because no matter how much you wanted me around, I left room for you to say no. I never wanted to manipulate people. And and I don't want to go back to male-female relationship, but if I'm with a woman, all she has to do is act like she doesn't want me, and I'm gone. I'm gone. Yeah, you're not answering your phone. Okay, it's over. I'm gone. No, I was with my mama. I don't care. I'm gone. I'm out. Because I didn't want to feel unwanted again. Yep. So there was something deep down inside of me. It's not that I needed all the hand claps. It's not that I needed you to celebrate me, but at least don't act like you don't want me around. Because if you don't want me around, I know I can survive anywhere. So
yeah. I think that's deep though. So a couple of things that really stood out for me. So your ability to go to these places where you felt unwanted, or you just felt unwanted in general, right? But your ability to kind of turn that thing around by saying, because I think a lot of people would handle the situation much differently. And that if you don't want me, then I'm not gonna do anything. I'm gonna be probably reclusive. I'm not gonna interact. I'm definitely not gonna be happy. But you chose, and we'll talk about choices here in a second. You chose to flip that thing around. And I can only imagine, I'm sure not in all situations, but in most situations, it was a shock and it was a surprise, a very pleasant surprise in those situations, that you were doing more than their own kids. And as a mom, I'm like, I can see how that could go and how that might feel. Probably made some enemies of those kids too, but I can imagine. But then you also talked, and it's all related, about rejection. And so rejection can be a horrible thing. It can be paralyzing. It can be devastating. And learning how to deal with rejection, and in your way at that time, and I don't know if it's still the same way, is okay, all you gotta do is act like you don't want me, then I'm done. I get it, because rejection hurts. Rejection doesn't feel good at any age. At the age that we're at right now, you're 50. I'm not quite at 50. It still don't feel good. It still doesn't feel good. But all those things are just about how you deal with it. And how do you deal with it? How do you handle it? How do you move on from it? So, okay, let me go to the next question, because I'm sure, look, that's deep. There's a lot more that could be said about that. But you've had obstacles. You've had some obstacles that you share with us, and I'm sure there are more obstacles that you haven't even talked about. Childhood, even present times, we all deal with obstacles, right? But we all can make excuses. And Terrell, you definitely could have made some excuses throughout your life that could have held you back. Talk about some of the excuses that you maybe made, or that you could have made, and how you got rid of those excuses, because you're like, I got things to do, places to go. Talk about that.
Yeah, and in your question, in your statement you just made, you made a valid point, and I want to use that to lead up to the excuses. You said that I probably made some enemies because of that situation. The parents would always like me. The teachers would always like me. Because my situation was tied to whether I was going to eat or whether I was going to have a place to stay, my natural proclivity was to always to please the one that feeds me. I was always about making friends with the people that could affect my life.
Right.
And you can imagine that the kids in the home wouldn't like me much. And you can imagine that in school, the other students didn't like me much. And you can imagine in the jobs that I went to, people didn't like me much. I don't care if you like me or not, if you're not feeding me. But that's an excuse. That's an excuse. That's an excuse because I had a hidden secret that they didn't know. I had a cheat code. I would always eat. I would always know how to make money. I would always know how to get ahead. And because you don't like me, I would say, good, I'm going to let you abuse me because it's going to let those in authority like me even more. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
But truth be told, even the Bible talks about it that anybody that learns anything must share every good thing with their teacher. Even though life taught me some things, I had to learn to relate to those who were on my level or beneath my level, because if I learned, I felt like it was my obligation to teach. And if I couldn't teach well enough, it was my obligation to learn again. So what that did, it taught me to be a leader. Even when people don't like you, it's not that they don't like you, it's you show them something they don't like about themselves.
About them.
And if you know that, you have a fiduciary responsibility. I'm using big words. You have a responsibility to help as many people as you can. So I started reasoning. I'm talking about as young as 13, 14, and 15. I remember we was living in my aunt's house. And man, her sons wanted to fight me. They just couldn't stand me. And I said, I'll never forget this. And it showed me that this was a gift. I said, man, if I leave today, you got your mama, you got your daddy. I have nothing. Wouldn't you think I would try harder than you so I can continue to eat and have a place to stay? They looked at me and were shocked. And because I won them over, I grew to not be so upset when people don't like me. I just would learn to do a better job at explaining myself. Now, don't get me wrong, growing up in the neighborhood I grew up in, I had to learn to throw them hands because everybody ain't gonna listen to logic. But I something Obama said, I always thought it, I always felt it, but when he said it, it made sense. He said, you will know you are maturing when winning an argument is not worth losing friends. So I started to learn how to let other people win around me so we can win together. If who you are makes others feel like they're winning, they will actually help you win, most of them. And you can't look at the one-offs, the people who, no matter what you do, they're gonna have a problem with it, and judge the rest of the world. But the biggest thing that I had to learn was, because things were working for me, it didn't mean I could be inconsiderate of other people. Does it make sense?
It does. Let me ask you this question related to that. What's the balance? Because a lot of people will be watching this video, and I think a lot of young people will be watching, between explaining yourself, because that's what you did. And I think that was powerful when you took the time to explain to those, the people, the young people that at the house, if I leave today, you still got your mom, you still got your daddy, you still gonna eat. Don't you understand? This is why I'm doing this, so I can. And they're like, I could see even a young person understanding, okay, well, that makes sense why they're doing this. And then as we go through life, explaining ourselves and just trying to make people understand, okay, this is who we are, this is why we're that way, or why we do what we do. What's the balance between trying to explain and make people understand, and then the so what part of it, I ain't gotta explain that to you. You don't have to understand. It's okay if you don't like me. How do you deal with that? How do you differentiate?
Yeah. I still was okay if they weren't gonna like me. I really explained not to defend me because they couldn't whoop me. Because yeah, I mean, my brothers. Okay, I'm gonna just tell you real quick. Because the way I was when I was younger, my brothers thought I was gonna be gay. Cause I just read books and read magazines and shied away from everything. So starting at like 7, 8 years old, they would find kids in the neighborhood for me to fight. So every day coming home from school, when I came around the corner where our tree was, if I came around the tree and there was somebody in the yard, I knew it was time to drop my books and fight. That's what I lived in. So I wasn't afraid of anything or anybody. My explaining to them was out of compassion for them, not fear of them. It was not, because my motto when I was in school, I used to explain this to people who wanted to fight me. I used to say, you don't want these problems. I used to say, the worst thing you can do is whoop me, because if you do, I'm gonna be a problem the rest of your life. And that was the truth. If I lost a fight, we was fighting every day until I won. So that was my mindset. So my explanation wasn't for me. My explanation was for them. God, ride this wave. You're gonna get something out of this. So the balance is that you in life, you have to be a person that seeks to understand before you seek to be understood. Okay, what is the problem? Oh, they're jealous of me because what they think I have. Let me help them understand, guys, I don't have
I
what
don't
you
really have
have.
it. Yeah, I heard
Yeah.
that.
Guys, you're so much more talented than me. You're smarter than me. And I'm sorry about how I make you feel. But if we're going to make it, we got to do this. And I still have these type of conversations to this day. I'm sure my conversation has matured. I can't explain it the way I explained it as a 14-year-old, but to the best of my ability, I made friends because I was willing to understand other people. Oh, you're jealous of me. Listen, bro, let me tell you something. You know, I was in the third period, and Pam was talking about how attractive you were. Bro, these women think you fine. You ain't got no reason to be jealous of me. And then they'd be like, oh, really? Yeah, man, I was at lunch, and Susan said, you got on some nice, Nikes. No. So let me show you
So
who
let
you
me ask you
are.
this. I love it. And that's a choice that you made. You chose to handle it in that way. So that takes me to the third part of the a success system. It's calculating choices. Talk about some of the other choices that you calculated throughout your life to get to where you are today.
Oh yeah, well, every choice wasn't good. So let me
And
go there.
I get it. Right.
Yeah. At the risk of, I'm on my second marriage, okay? And at the risk of, I don't want anybody to look bad. So hear it from the place that I'm in. I think one of the worst decisions I made for me and for her was marrying my first wife. And I'm not saying that to say she was a bad person. I just knew I wasn't ready to get married. But because of her challenges at home and because of what I was capable of doing, I just said, I've been in bad situations my whole life. Whatever is going on with us, I'll figure it out. And I married her, okay? I didn't marry her thinking about what I wanted. Matter of fact, I didn't even know what I wanted. So how could you plan a future with somebody and you don't even know what you want? How could, you know how a Bible you said you got to write the vision to make it plain? I didn't have a vision to write down, so it couldn't be plain. So none of us could run with it, And so, but by the time I got in the situation, I felt trapped. I felt obligated to fulfill a task, and I was trying to do it with my head and not my heart, And so it made me vulnerable. She didn't know the things that pleased me. I really didn't know what pleased her. I just did what I naturally do as a benefit of any room I go into. I'm just going to say that. It's not arrogant. I'm not being cocky. I'm a benefit of any room I'm in. I know that. And I probably was treating her better than any man that was head over heels in love with her, because it's just who I am. But I will say this, but because I wasn't getting filled up, it made me more vulnerable. And I happened to run into a young lady who recognized who I was. And I don't even know if it was game or what, but she started telling me I'm the next Martin Luther King. And see, I mean, CJ was blowing my head up. And I was like, I don't want this life I have no more. I don't want it. I don't. And I don't think I would have left, but I made it so difficult for my wife. There was no way she could stay with me because I had clocked out. My body was still there. I had clocked out years ago. I was great at paying bills. I was great at cutting the yard. I was great at doing the things I was supposed to do, but emotionally, I was gone. And
so that was another teaser for this relationship conference. Because seriously, because what you just described, I've experienced, because I've been married before too, and we had challenges. And I think a lot of people watching this have experienced this or will experience that on some level. So what are some other choices that you've had to calculate? Maybe professionally even.
Now, professionally, I would say professionally, in my opinion, I just been lucky. I just been lucky. I always ended up with great managers who wanted me to succeed and all of that. So I can't say that I made any bad choices career-wise, but the bad choice I made is I stayed in corporate America too long, because I ended up falling in love with this steady paycheck. But I am an author. I am a playwright. I am a great speaker, if I might say so myself. I have so many other skills and ability. I could have done some things that opened up doors for so many people, not only for myself. And not to say I regret it, but now that I see it, and I'm 50, I have a greater sense of urgency to do what I should have done a long time ago. And I'll tell anybody, you have to choose a life for yourself, because if you don't choose a life for yourself, somebody else will be glad to choose one for you. And if you don't know what you want to do, somebody else will gladly use your talent to accomplish what they want to accomplish. So if I could say I made a mistake, I lended my skills and talents to people and things that did not align with the vision I had for myself. I can do a lot of things, but I wasn't born to be a project manager. I can do a lot of things, but I wasn't born to be a computer designer or a developer. I wasn't born to do this. But since they paid me enough money to keep me going, but not enough money to leave, I found myself stuck in situations longer than I've had to. You know, even though I went to other companies, it was just a life cycle on repeat. Like the company I'm at now, this is the longest I've ever been with one company. I'm 50. I always knew I could find another job when I want to. I just believed that. And I always found good jobs making more money. But even though the money was there, even though the opportunity was there, it didn't fulfill the greatest side of me. And to be honest, Summer, that's probably why you see me doing so many other things, writing books and writing plays, because I wasn't born to be a project manager. So I give them the hours that they're paying me for. But when I get off work for them, I go to work for me.
Right.
And I can only imagine, what if I gave myself the hours and the attention and the hard work that I gave them? We'll probably have our own Tyler Perry lot right about now.
It's coming. It's coming. And I think that, that's all really powerful. And I still also believe that, because even, that's been my journey too. Except I left. Now, it's hard to believe it's been 8 years ago that I left corporate America, but I call that the golden handcuffs. I remember prior to me leaving my corporate world, meeting with someone who was also in the corporate world for 2 years, and us talking about, we knew we needed to leave because we felt something deeper. And I felt like I found my purpose, my calling, I'm like, I know what I'm supposed to be doing in my life, but I got these golden handcuffs because I'm eating good and I'm living good. But I made that jump, and I know I already know what's in the future for you. I already can see what's in the future for you. But one thing that did happen for me though is all the things that I learned in my corporate career, and the same will be true for you, have been applied to my life as an entrepreneur. The relationships, the processes, and even you as a project manager with all these projects that you juggle, all of that will still go into play. Okay, so you are so, again, multifaceted, so deep. It's like a million questions I want to ask, but I'm like, we just don't have enough time. We can't talk all day. Uh, so here's my next. So okay, so with the So What Success system, if you can learn how to overcome obstacles, eliminate excuses, and calculate choices, you can achieve So What Success. And you've proven that. You've had obstacles in your life, and you learned how to get rid of the excuses and make good choices so that you can be in the position where you're creating all these amazing things that are changing people's lives, and also be in a position where you can say goodbye to corporate when you're ready. But how do you personally define success? In most people's eyes, they're like, yeah, you're successful, and you are successful. But what is your personal definition of success?
If I had to just nail it down to a definition, I would have to say it is doing what comes natural to you and seeing what is natural to you be a blessing to the world. That's it for me. That's it. What you wake up doing, you feel good about it, and you see your contribution to the world, and you see how it helps other people. Even if you don't have the money you want, you can lay your head to sleep at night, because I think a lot of people get upset with their jobs or get upset because we get tired of faking. We get tired of faking. But when you're doing what's naturally you and you find where it fits, then the whole world makes sense. I remember that quote by Albert Einstein. We've heard it a million times, but he said, everybody is a genius in their own right. But if you judge a fish by his ability to climb a tree, he'll go his whole life thinking he's stupid. A lot of people think they're less powerful than what they are because they're trying to force their natural gifts into a place that doesn't welcome it. And you got to be willing to take the risk to find where you fit, even if it means walking away from family, even if it means walking away from friends, even if it means taking a risk. You got to find your fit, because you can make a whole lot of money doing something you hate. And everybody be like, ooh, you got the car, you got the money, but I'm miserable. I don't want to be this. So it's what's natural to you and seeing its contribution to the world. For me, that's success.
I love that definition. I love that definition. So now I'm successful then.
Right. There you go. Exactly.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. I have one last question. And you already kind of did this, but I know you got plenty of advice anyway. So what's a piece of advice that you would give to someone watching this who wants to be successful, but they're dealing with obstacles? So maybe some of their obstacles are like yours, is background from their family, challenges with family, maybe it's challenges that they're dealing with, their personal circumstances right now, whatever. I don't know. It may be somebody that's a college student. It might be a young professional, maybe an entrepreneur. Some general advice on being successful in spite of obstacles. What would you say?
If I could give something to every young person, whether you're in college, whether you're starting your career, your whole life is going to be these three things: believing it's possible, believing it's possible for you, and believing it's possible for you right now. That's it. Because your level of belief affects your level of effort. You can see basketball teams, as long as they believe they can win, they're diving and loose balls, they're playing harder defense. But when they feel like they've lost, their shoulders slump, and you see it in their body language. The world sees your body language because of these three things: believing it's possible. Like we'll say stuff possible. Oh, it's possible for Tyler Perry. It's possible for Oprah. It's possible for LeBron. Believe it's possible, then believe it's possible for you. And then don't say, oh, one day when I get the right relationship, one day when I get the right money, one day, heck-a-lecca. It's possible for you right now. Then you'll start making the decisions that draw the right people, that draw the right resources, that draw the right situation. So meditate on those three. Believe that it's possible. Believe that it's possible for you, and believe that it's possible for you
Right
right now.
now. Right
Right
now.
now.
And I
Right.
like that, like even to add to that, you said then you'll start to make the decisions and you listed some things. And one of the key decisions, or two of the key decisions that you will also make, I'll add to what you said, is I'm going to overcome these obstacles. I'm going to eliminate these excuses. And those are decisions. Those are part of the choices that you can overcome those obstacles and you can eliminate those excuses so you can make it happen for you right now. Thank you, Terrell. I love it. I love it. I love it. I appreciate it. I appreciate our friendship. I appreciate how you encourage me and how you inspire me all the time. Thank you, my friend.
Oh, it's over. I need another hour. I'm not done yet. No, I'm just kidding.
We have to talk off the video. This was good. Thank you so much, Terrell.
Awesome. Thank you.